And we are live. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Welcome to yet
Hello.
another episode of Scaleway Sessions. My name is Diego Coy. I'm a developer advocate here at Scaleway, and I'm joined once again by actually two of the most popular guests that we have had in Scaleway Sessions. My good friend Arno and my good friend Alexandre. How are you,
Hi.
folks?
Hi,
Good and you?
everyone.
I was
Uh,
just checking the statistics of our live streams for the last few months. This is number 29th. And the two most successful episodes were the first one, where we had Alexandre, and then we had our first Cold Doctor Cube episode with Arno. So you are
Nice.
our favorites.
it was just by chance, huh? Just because I
Yeah.
was the first one, so everyone was curious.
Yeah. And
That
I,
is
I'm
it.
I'm far too much talkative, so maybe it's just because people like to listen to my lovely French accent.
Exactly. I mean, that's why I decided to work for a French company. So today we're gonna talk about something quite special. So we have approached the third quarter. No, we're over the third quarter of the
We
month,
are
No, we're
right?
finishing
still
the third. We
Yeah,
are
well,
finishing
still
the third.
approaching the third quarter.
approaching, yeah.
Man, I can't. It's almost the end of the year, and I can't feel it yet. But yes, several things have happened during this long period, and we are here to share what we have been doing, what all the teams inside Scale we have been doing, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Alexandre, why don't you take it away and tell us what are we going to discuss today?
sure. Maybe I can introduce myself for persons who are not common uh,
You
with
are
us.
here
I'm
all the
Arnaud.
time, but yeah, sure.
So I'm a marketing manager at Scaleway. I'm working between the marketing and sales team and the product team. So we take care about the product and be sure is well on the market, well positioned. And that's why today I'm here to introduce all the new things we have released over the last quarter, the last 3 months. Arnaud, maybe you want to have a word on your position, on your job
Yeah.
at Scaleway?
Yeah. Of course.
Interesting.
So I'm a solution architect here at Scaleway. My main job is answering customers and my colleagues here at Scaleway about solutions that can be made using Scaleway products and a mix of various open source solutions in order to better achieve what our customer really needs. And that's basically having an highly available application, being more reliable, be able to scale to a larger size when their workload goes higher, when they have more customers themselves, and make sure that all of this is actually secure. Because for most people, public cloud is still something that is very scary. It's on the internet. On internet, there are bad things and so on. So we are here. I am here, and me and my colleagues are here to reassure our customers and explain what are the best practices in order to make sure that everything is secure, reliable, and scalable.
That's so
Sure.
cool.
And we are
Yeah.
working close together. Very
Yeah,
interesting to work together. Yeah, so today we have new products, new things at Scaleway, and we are excited to have this conversation together to introduce them to you. So feel free if you have any question in the chat. Diego, if I'm wrong,
Absolutely.
you tell me. People can interact in the chat. Huh? So
Yes,
if they have
definitely
any
they
question
can.
about the product, we can answer. And so it's casual today.
Let us
Yes,
know what you
because
think, and if you have any other ideas or product feedback, please use the
yeah.
sure,
comments.
if you have
And feel free to comment if, like last time, we had some difficulties, technical difficulties, due to our stream provider. Are
exactly.
we on a podcast this time or not?
I feel like we are comfortable today, like everything
Yeah.
working fine. Yeah, but yeah, this kind of
Yeah, last
event,
time we were forced to do a podcast, right?
Yeah.
yeah, was funny. Yeah, I wanted to share feedback. Like many clients are telling us what is good at Scaleway, that things are moving, and and I feel like we don't we no we should communicate about it. Like things are moving, products are better and better, and it's a good occasion to do so. So today we have actually three main topics. If we have time to do all the three, it's wonderful. But anyway, we're going to start about reliability, redundancy, how to make your infrastructure more scalable. No, not more scalable, more reliable. Because the
Reliable.
second
Yeah.
one is scalability.
All
It's
right.
going together, of course. If you are able to scale, you are more reliable. But yeah, there's two different kind of features, product you have
Yeah, and
released to
philosophy.
improve this topic. And last but not least, I want to make a focus on security because actually this year we've made a major improvement on this side. So it's good to have a look back and have a see everything you can do today with Scaleway to improve your security in the cloud. But the first things very cool to announce is that now we have three full region.
Yay.
All right. What does that mean
uh,
then?
yeah, three full region. So one in Paris, one in Amsterdam, and one in Warsaw. What
All
does it
right.
mean? So we open a new data center in Amsterdam and a new one in Warsaw, and we can call them these two things like place, no region for Scaleway client, because we have three data centers, three AZ in the same region. That's important for, as I say, reliability, because you are able to spread your risk among these three places. So it means for Scaleway, we are now a really robust and strong cloud
We
provider
already
for
were, but on Paris only.
sure.
Robuster. Now
But
we
we can say we are a bit more. But
Yeah.
yeah, cool. It's very interesting to
we-
have these three regions because yeah, before we had to say we have one full region in Paris and then other data center in Europe. But then now we can change the world, and it's not only word; it's very physical actually because we say the cloud is just somewhere, but now it's really physical. And we have these three places, so you can spread your resources, your instances, your database among different AZ inside the same region. It's good as well. The places are interesting as well. You have Paris is very central in Europe,
right.
connected to the network actually. The network Paris is a hub, so you have a good connectivity. Amsterdam is a hub too,
Right.
with many data center over there. And now we have a good place to address the clients located, for example, in Northern Europe or in the UK. Amsterdam is a good place for that. And Poland in Warsaw is a good place for Eastern Europe. So with these three regions, as a Scaleway client, you're able to really address all the European continent and a very good connectivity, and with the risk are well spread.
Hmm.
That's why I think it was good to start with this new release of new location for Scaleway.
Yeah.
Maybe
Absolutely.
do you have maybe Arnaud already a client to take advantage of this of this?
So I'm pretty sure I have one or two clients I directly know already using this kind of configuration. But from an architecture point of view, it's very interesting to have different availability zone. So that's something that is at the core of most products. A database like CockroachDB, or even in some other private cloud tools like OpenStack and so on.
Sure.
When you are building an architecture, you have a need of redundancy and reliability in order to make sure that if a whole availability zone goes down, you don't lose everything. So it can scale from basically having all your server in the same room, all your server in the same rack, but then you can spread that and have all your servers in two different buildings, all your servers in different building, but separated by large distance. And this is at the very core of reliability. In order, if you want something that is up all the time, most of the time, you need to make sure your application is spread amongst multiple availability zones.
Right.
And that's basically a region. A region is something that has at least 3 availability zones. And at Scaleway, we have now 3 full regions, so 9 availability zones. So you can also create scenario about disaster recovery. For example, if you are currently fully hosted at Paris, but for anything happens, for example, power outage on all of Paris, because maybe there was an atomic
Something.
bomb close to
Wow.
Paris. So
Got dark.
I will not be
Okay.
here to discuss it anymore, but maybe your application will be still working at Warsaw.
Yeah.
So
That's very
this
good.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff, if you want to go from small scale to large scale, having 3 full region is very great.
And we know in IT everything fail all the time, so you need to
Yeah.
prevent you need to prevent of anything. Yeah, sure. So
Yeah. We are speaking about something called a SPOF, so a single point of failure. So that's basically when you are looking at an architecture, if everything goes by this single point and this point falls down, everything falls down. So we are
That also
working
sounds
at,
like a puff.
yeah, and that's what we are working on at Scaleway, making sure all our services aren't SPOF, and also proposing architecture. You can see through your favorite salesperson and solution architect here at Scaleway, in order to have something that is reliable and don't include a SPOF.
and I know, Arnaud, you are chasing SPOF in every architecture.
Yeah, we are still looking for better solution on some small point at Scaleway, but everything is on a roadmap.
Sure.
Amazing. We do have a comment over here. So Julian asks if our managed solutions like object storage will be migrated to this new region.
So I can answer this one. Object storage is already available at Warsaw and Amsterdam, and they are now multi-AZ too. So basically, right now, object storage, by definition, is something that is replicated. But on Warsaw and on Amsterdam, it was replicated in the same data centers because we didn't have at least three availability zone. Now that we have three availability zone, I know that the standard class at Amsterdam, I believe, is already multi-AZ, and it's going to be the same with Warsaw very soon.
So we'll take advantage of this new region anyway, for sure. So the answer is yes.
Yeah, I believe we received an email about multi-AZ in Amsterdam just today.
Oh yeah.
Okay, sure. Certainly.
Yeah. Thank you for your question, Julian. If you have any other questions, please feel free to send us a comment.
Yeah, and speaking about that, we have actually with our managed database something interesting with actually this multi-AZ capability, because now we offer a replication of our database in a multi-AZ area. So it's still in the, we could say, in the region. In the region, in where you put your database, you have the ability to put it in another AZ. So same stuff, you improve your reliability, and you put it in read replica only. So that's a good thing. For example, if you want to be sure you're not depending on the AZ for all your database. Another
And
thing is
also to
connected. Yeah,
improve performance and so on.
sure.
So there's multiple things. Basically, in databases, read replica are a copy in real time of a database that is only accessible in read-only. There are multiple use cases to read replica because most of the time on a database, we spend more time reading it than writing in it. So you can have your database in high availability, like it is, but then you can also spawn 1 to 3 read replica. You can access to and divert the reading to these instances, copy of the database, in order to improve performances. But what is very cool is that now the read replica can be spawned in a different AZ than your database. And what it does basically is that we handle the replication. You have your read replica that is on top, the same position, the same cursor, the same transaction that your database. And if anything happen to your main database for whatever reason, the whole AZ goes down, it is possible to promote the read replica to full scale database and then divert all your traffic to this new database that is in another AZ.
So you don't have any downtime. It's cool. I remember I had a client, but it's not connected to multi-AZ, but he made a read replica for his BI team. Because the BI team was the one stressing the database.
Yeah.
So he say, go to the read replica, don't mess with my production database. And if you have any queries,
several hundred of line of SQL on a database, never a good idea.
Exactly. So it was but now you can, if you have, for example, you want to be sure it's not in the same AZ, you can do it.
Right.
But
and they have access to sort of live data. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And basically, databases was already doing snapshots of the database. When you want to back up your database, you can do snapshots, or you can do full-scale backups of your database. When you are doing snapshots, these snapshots are in it's internal. You don't see it, but it's backed by our object storage. And since our open storage, object storage in this region is multi-AZ now, your backups is multi-AZ too.
So you have multiple, how to say, protection.
Yeah,
it's good.
Multiple protection. Ceinture et bretelle, like we say in French.
It's good. It's always the case. Huh? 3 is a golden number. And around database, we have another things. We have the option to change the instances below the database to improve the performance and the stability of the product. It's mainly, but it's both. It's stability and performance, because now you have the option to improve your database to is it production optimize instances. So you have more CPU and more memory available just for your database. In case, as the name say, in case you are redoing your production, you are serving clients or serving a lot of workload with this database. It's a good idea to to improve to this new kind of instances. So you improve your availability. You ensure that you don't have any low latency or even a downtime. So that's the two main new things on database we wanted to share with you. Arnaud or Diego, if you have a comment on that.
I do have a comment on that.
You have a comment.
Yeah. Uh,
Can I make my statement
Sure.
yes.
first?
So,
I remember now
why not?
we had it last time.
Yeah.
So-
So basically, a few years back, when I started working in IT, so about 15 years ago, database were something you only host on bare metal. You
Right.
don't do database in a VM. That's not something that is done. Everybody was doing. No, you don't put something like an hypervisor in an hypervisor, and a database is a kind of hypervisor. You don't do that, and so on. But okay, let's be honest. Now everybody does database in VM. But
Yeah.
how can we still have the performance of bare metal with a VM? And that's dedicated resources. And that's what our production instances are. We are guaranteeing that you have dedicated resources for your database. If your database has an increased workload or this kind of things, you need to use production optimized instances because the database, like we said earlier about SPOF, so database may not be a SPOF if it's in high availability, but it's still
Right.
on the critical path of your application. Everything goes in and out of your database. If the database goes down, everything goes down.
Yep.
So if you want to have the best performances, you need to have the fastest answers from your database. And the best answers to that is optimize, of course, your queries, but also have the needed hardware beyond that. And production instances is a way to go for that.
Sure. And you can have a look as well on Cockpit if you have
Yeah,
some
of
metrics
course.
to ensure, like, do I need production or not? Like in a situation of stress, maybe it's a good idea to have a look on Cockpit and
Yep.
say, okay, maybe it's a good idea to have production optimized instances for my database, and I will update it.
I'd say Cockpit is still a bit new, so can you tell us what that is?
Yes, it was from the previous quarter, so but it's still it's a managed Grafana hosted by Scaleway and provided by Scaleway, where most of our product, we still miss some part, but most of our products
They are coming. They are coming.
send their metrics and their log to Cockpit. So if you want to have an idea about what is the health of your database, your instances, how they perform, you have 7 days of metrics available
Right.
in this tool
For free.
So it's for free. Yeah, the 7 days. If you want to have more metrics, you want to store a longer time. And I think I say mistake. If it's not 30 days, 30 days
It's
for
30
metrics.
days of metrics and 7 days of logs.
7 for logs.
Right.
Don't mix
In the free
the
plan.
things. But yes, 30 days, it's quite a long time to have a look on what happened and how you perform with your infrastructure. So yeah, it's really the observability tool you need inside the Scaleway ecosystem, natively integrated. So you just need to connect to this tool, and everything is is configured. So that's
we'll be there. It's
So,
really cool.
You can have a look, and it's helped a lot for this kind of question, like, do I need this product or not? Should I improve, or should I stay with the same? Where is my my trouble?
Totally. Database decisions.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
Basically any decision. Observability and doing checks on your system without the good tools is a pain in it's a pain. Okay,
It's a pain.
And it's a pain.
All over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, And if you don't have the good tools, you can't see what is currently happening, and you can't detect when things goes down. You can't detect when things go slow, and Cockpit is basically providing that. Because when you are using managed services, like we explained in the previous session, you don't necessarily have access to the underlying servers and VM hosting your
Yeah.
services. So if you want to know what is happening outside, asking the support what is happening, now you can just activate your Cockpit and access your free range of logs and metrics. And if you are not a Grafana guru, and believe me, I'm not, I was better doing Kibana, but Grafana is cooler. But each time I wanted to do things in Grafana, I broke with the dashboard. So that's why it's very nice having already made
Pre-made for
dashboard
you,
with
yeah.
good metrics in there, and you can clearly observe either from AirDB or the future product Alexandre is going to speak about in a few minutes, what is happening in order to take decision, and that's basically FinOps or any tech ops.
Any ops? Huh?
Yeah, any
Any
It's
of
ops,
not
any ops
everything about finance.
based on metrics and seeing what is happening.
Yeah.
Because we provide the financial information in our billing dashboard. So it's not in Cockpit, but
Yeah,
I know there is a discussion to do so, but I don't know if it will happen soon or not.
yeah.
But yeah,
I know the billing team is building flashy new tools, and they are working on all of this kind of stuff. So
sure.
well, wait and see. Maybe in the next session.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Could be, could be. There is a last product we haven't talked about reliability, and I think it's a major one. It's
Yeah,
a VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Before at Scaleway, we had a private network, and we
Right.
changed it to VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. What is it actually? It's a virtual private cloud. We put it regionally. So now you have in this VPC multiple private network that are regional. And they are in a bundle, I don't know if it's the right term, but in a group, they are together and they can connect, they can be connected together or separated. It's up to you how you want to handle your network. But the good things about that, they are on a region. So if you have a private network on a VPC on Paris, you can connect all your resources from the different AZ, and they can speak together securely. Like they don't have to go over internet to
Right.
see each other, to communicate, to send information. So you can have your bare metal in par 2 and your managed database in par 1 and some instances in par 3. And all of this from your virtual private cloud over on a private network. That's a new thing for us because before it was only on a single AZ, only available on every AZ. But if you had to speak to another resource at Scaleway to go to another, you had to go to internet or to set up a VPN to do that. So now it's not the case anymore. And it's a major step for the security and the
Yeah.
reliability of our clients because you can spread the risk without minoring the security. So it was released in July in GA. And another good anecdote on that is that we provide now in this VPC a DHCP server. So the good things about that, you don't need to configure. You just, or you don't need to configure. I'm sure there is some configuration, but there is someone, or someone, a machine, a DHCP, who say, "Oh, you want to speak on this network? I gave you this IP, and I will do the networking for you," and that's something very good. And before this option, these features was inside our public gateway. So if you wanted to configure very easily your network, you had to buy a public gateway to do so. So now you provide the DHCP inside the VPC. You still need to buy a public gateway if you want to go outside, if you want to reach the internet, of course. But it's not this feature. The DHCP is available directly, natively inside our VPC. So that's something like was very asked by our clients, the people who are doing some network. They say, okay, I want to secure my network, but I don't want to put my hand too much into configuration. Just like before on Cockpit, like I want to have some metrics, but yeah, like Arno, you don't to want to break everything each time you try to put an agent on to send all the metrics somewhere. That's the same thing with this DHCP ID. Just open your instances, your managed database, everything, and then it's connected quite easily to the rest of the network thanks to the DHCP. We have no like a native behavior to open for you when you create an account, a VPC to help you to go into this security world. So don't let your instances open to internet. Go inside the VPC, get secure, and we see like a good adoption of this product. More and more clients are building directly inside their VPC, and say it's good actually to have this simplicity, and we still have a lot of to do to improve the product, but that's a major step. I'm sure you have some information on that, on some, because Arno is meeting a lot of client. He has seen like the migration from the DHCP from the public gateway to our new product. It was a big piece. It created some friction, but we did it, and congratulations to the network team and
huge congratulations.
I think your audio did something weird.
Your audio.
I'm here.
Better? Yes.
Yes. Okay. It's like you were inside a swimming pool or a submarine.
Yeah. Okay. So networking is always complicated, and it was an adventure in Scaleway. So when I arrived at Scaleway about 3 years ago, I believe I have to check back. Private networks were already there, but they were brand new. They were zoned. It was a beginning. It was interesting, starting to be able to have instances connected together in order to have the internal traffic goes through the private networks. And VPC at this point was only a brand of product. It was not a product by itself. And in this brand of product, we had two services, which were private networks and public gateways. But now VPC is by itself a product, and it's a bubble where you can put several private networks in there. And all of these private networks will, in the future, be able to communicate between each others inside their bubbles. That's something some other people in other cloud providers were often used to, and we hear you, and when some our customers said, well, we want to have VPC work this way rather than this way and so on, but we want to have subnets in our private network. We don't want to handle the subnets. It's complicated. Just create subnets for us. We want to have DHCP, but we want reliable DHCP, because DHCP by itself is just giving you an IP. But if your instances goes down, for example, you stopped it because you don't want to consume anymore the resources, and you get it back up a few days later, maybe the instances with the previous DHCP will get a new IP. because it's a new lease. The previous lease was done, and the instance has a new IP. It's not the same IP that before, so you have to do reconfiguration and so on. Now it's not the case, because our private network is using internally an IPAM, so IP management tool, and this IP management tool is creating an IP for your resource when the resource is attached to the private network, and this IP will be this instance dedicated IP on the private network throughout the life of your product connected to the private network. So if my instance get an IP through DHCP, in fact, this IP will be the same even if you stop your instances for 1 month and get it back up later on. If the instance is still attached to the private network, it will get the same IP. Same with the database, same with your capsule nodes and so on. So this IP is far more reliable than before. And that's why we are using now a different version of this DHCP on the private network. And of course, what is very fun is that this private network before was zoned. Now all the private network are regional, so all the previous one were migrated safely and without any action from our customers from zonal to multi-region, multi-AZ, so regional. And
Yeah.
if you have resources in all the AZ, you can make now reliable architecture through all your localities and still have your internal traffic going through a private network instead of going through the internet. And that's very
Okay.
great.
Indeed.
I I got a question here internally. So a direct
Yeah,
question addressed to me. So yeah, nowadays you can transfer data internally through the internal network. But what happened before? What if you had to go outside to the
yeah.
internet and getting back in? Were you charged about for that egress and then the ingress of data?
No, there was no ingress or
You,
ingress
you
fee for this kind of things,
okay?
because
You're right.
basically when you are going through the internet between Scaleway resources, you are still being routed by Scaleway. So what is internet? Let's go back to what is internet.
Oh wow.
Back to basic.
Okay.
It's going to take a while.
Yeah, no. I'll do the short version. Internet is a network of network. And when you are going from one Scaleway resources to one Scaleway resources through the internet, you are still on the Scaleway part of the internet. You are not being routed by something else. So if you're not routed by something else, there is no ingress or egress fee. And that's basically the same if you access, for example, object storage, Scaleway object storage, from an instances in Scaleway. You are not going outside on the internet. It's still, if you are doing things in the same region, so for example, from an instance in Paris 1 to the object storage in Paris, you are not doing an access through the internet. So there is no ingress fee, egress fee in this case. So there is never ingress fee, in fact,
Mhm.
for any Scaleway product. But on the egress fee for object storage, there is an egress fee if you are going outside of Scaleway. But from the same region, there is no egress fee. And what is happening? What is better by doing so? Because, like I said, we are not routing on the internet. Actually, when you are going from one Scaleway resources to another Scaleway resources, it's called the difference between north-south traffic and west-east traffic. And that's basically network is a pyramid. So you are going from the small things up to the top things that goes on the internet. And when you are doing traffic between two instances through the internet, you are doing north-south traffic. But if you are using private network, you are doing east-west traffic, and that's
Right.
faster, more performance, better latency, and so on. Because you are not traversing a lot of different routers.
Mhm.
Exactly. I think this topic alone deserves a whole episode. We should
Yeah,
talk about that.
network stuff, whole episode. Yeah.
Let's do
There
it.
is no episode so far on network. You did. I know you did one on cockpit on observability, but not on
Yeah.
network.
No, not yet.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
that's a
Don't
Good
worry.
juicy
idea.
one.
It's a good idea because
Yeah,
yeah, it's interesting for everyone. Network.
absolutely.
Mm. Yeah, we can go a little bit further on our new release.
Yeah.
Like next topic, we did a lot around reliability, and connected to that is of course scalability. How to go to have more and more resources to address more clients and our increasing workloads. And about that, we open inside the console capacity to book a dedicated control plane for Kubernetes capsule on Kubernetes Cosmos as well. But we're going to focus mainly on capsule. Yeah, so it's the ability to have an API server dedicated to your cluster. We have actually at Scaleway a free plan where you can have a cluster for free. You only
Hmm.
pay the worker node, of course, because that's instances, and
Yeah.
we don't provide that, but we offer
That's
the capacity
that's
to
what
have
is
a
doing the workload. In fact.
yeah, the API server on the cluster. That's but the only things that you are on a mutualized environment. When you scale, you have more and more workload, and you go into production commonly. Now we have the capacity inside the console to book a dedicated control plane, just as Arnaud mentioned for the database. It's the same thing. You have an instance for you with good performances. We have actually three sizes from 4 gigabytes to 16 gigabyte memory. We offer as well like the capacity to have a replica. So when something goes down, you have another control plane taking over. And we also introduce SLA. That's why it's good for production environment. If you have a client at the end of your infrastructure and you need to engage yourself with a service or with something to provide, then having a dedicated control plane is a good idea because Scaleway ensure the best of the best availability for your cluster. Something is not new actually because we released it in January this year, but it was only available through the API, and it was even only introduced by a solution architect or a customer success manager. So now, if you are independent, you are autonomous inside the console, and you can decide if you need a mutualized plan or if you need to scale heavily and need a bigger API server. It's the feedback we have is really great because we see that the clients they really feel they can go from the first server you open, you start to learn Kubernetes, you don't have a lot of engagement, and then you can go up to a production stage, and it fits well the need along your journey. Like the free plan is good, like if you are a beginner, and the production plan with a dedicated server is good for people who need to scale with many
Right.
instances, a lot of workload, and so on. So yeah, so it's quite good for capsule, and the good things about that is connected to cockpit, so observability tool. So we watch together. Like Arnaud, I'm sure you already did it. Like okay, should I go to a 4 gigabyte dedicated control plane or not? Okay, let's have a look on your metrics, and we'll see how much do you use in terms of memory and CPU, and if you reach the limit very often, it's quite interesting indeed to upsell to go to the next size and to book one. This kind of use case we already see, and we have a good client satisfaction on that.
Yeah.
Quite interesting. Uh, Maybe Arnaud, you have
Oh yes,
something to
oh,
share
I
about that.
always have something to say about that.
Diego as well, of course. But,
So basically, Kubernetes, like most people knows, is using a control plane. Control planes in architecture
yeah,
based on this
true.
kind of stuff.
I say okay. I forget to explain what is a control plane. I just so
Yeah,
everybody know
You're
with
so
yeah,
deep into
Kubernetes.
yes, but
Kubernetes
everybody
now.
knows. So basically, when you are deploying a software using a control plane, you have to dedicate some computers, some servers, just to host the orchestra, the maître d'orchestre. So you'll have to translate for me in English. I'm missing the maître d'orchestre translation. But
Uh,
is the guy staying telling all
The
the other
orchestrator?
orchestrator? Yeah, but
yeah.
I was more looking for the musical one. I don't know if there is. It's called an orchestrator too. But basically, somebody has to look on the servers effectively doing the work and to check if everything is all right. When you are deploying it by yourself, you have to pay and use separate servers for that if you are doing production, and this on free, but they aren't doing any stuff work related. They are just here to observe and check that everything is all right. So Capsule, what was great about Capsule and is still great about Capsule, is that if you are starting doing Kubernetes, these servers doing the control plane part, we just give you for free this part, and it was the current mutualized control plane. But some customers were doing a lot of stuffs, and when they are doing a lot of stuffs, a particular part of the control plane called the API servers will do a lot of stuff too, and that's taking memory space on the
Right.
control plane. And since we are mutualizing the control planes, we can't just penalize and some customers because they are being bothered by a noisy neighbor. So we had to put limits. And when somebody was reaching these limits, his API server was stopped in order to get back down and restarted. And that was troubling some our bigger customers. So a year back, we created so the Capsule team and all the good DevOps we have here at Scaleway created a dedicated control plane, and that's basically a way for customers needing their own servers because they are doing a lot of stuff and want to reach the hard limits,
Right.
a way to have their own servers for Kubernetes. But it's still managed by Scaleway. No need to put your hand in all the nitty gritty of configuring Kubernetes.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but it was still not self-service, and public cloud is something that should be self-service. A customer should be able to access what he wants by himself and by going in the console, and that's what is brand new. Now you can in the console ask for this dedicated control plane by yourself, and you can also get to know when to do it. And that's what Alexandre presented by going to the cockpit. You can see a graph. So 30 days if you are using the free plan of the cockpit, more 1 year of data if you are using the paid plan. And you can observe when your API server is nearing the limit or not. This way, you
Right.
can say, well, I can keep going on a free control
Control
plane
plan. Mhm.
because my server is doing well and nothing happens, so no problem. I'm not forced to leave. But if I see that once a month when I'm doing some stuff, I'm going very high and sometimes it just goes down because we are restarting your API server, well, maybe going to a dedicated control plane for a few days could be a good idea on this part. And if you are always at the top, well, let's go for a control plane for full time and see what happens.
Just, I need to mention, Arnaud, to have the complete information. There is a commitment on the control plane. So if you go in a few days, you have to stay at least 30 days. Is because when you for capacity planning, we need to have something stable, and it's always something good for commitment for you and for us to have the resources
Right.
you need when you book it. So that's why there is a
Well,
there is
a
this
few
30
days, a
days.
few days. Most of the
Yeah.
time, we are speaking about the peak at the end of the year for Christmas.
Sure.
So you don't need your huge dedicated control plane for a few days. You need it for a month.
No,
So
there is a way. There is a way if you really don't want to stay on a dedicated control plane. You kill your cluster. Of course, you save everything, and you recreate one
yeah,
with a free
materialized.
plan. As well. If you put everything on a block, you save everything. You have it's common behavior for Kubernetes.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have a
Most
lot
people
of
using Kubernetes is using continuous integration, continuous delivery, and they
Right.
can respawn their whole architecture in a few hours,
exactly.
few minutes to a few hours stop. That's very great for disaster recovery, of course. If you want to move to another region, quite fast.
So that's a way to do it. So like you are not stuck at all, but if you book one and you want to keep your cluster, you have to keep it for 30 days. If you're able to move, you are flexible like that, then you can say, okay, I just need some time and I will create a new one. Yeah, that's it. But I didn't want to let you like say, oh, that's great, I will do it, and it's so easy.
Well, it's easy, but you will get back to your materialized control plane in a month.
That's the definition of a few days. That's clarification.
Yeah, and about other topic on that stuff. I see the clock, the time is running, so
The time is running.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea to have a short word about our serverless environment because there is some new things coming. Like we have some new beta phases for a serverless SQL database. It's exactly
wow.
like a managed database, but you only pay by the usage of requests. It's going to be like that. It's the change between managed services and serverless. Yeah, it could be interesting to have a short word on that because managed database, it's a managed product. What is the difference between a serverless product? Sometimes it could be very narrow. A managed product, you still have some configuration. You still have some hand how to size your product. You need, if you want small sizes or big sizes, you don't pay exactly the same things. You pay by the hours commonly. We have you have many things to configure sometimes. Even if we manage the instances, you need to configure the product inside the managed services. As a serverless, you only provide the information we cannot at your place, like your code, the information you need to place in your database, and then you only pay by the usage. So it means like if your database is doing nothing, you don't pay. If you have a request, you just pay this request. That's it.
Very great.
I think there is as well the amount of data you
of course.
you are processing because it would be too easy.
You have to still pay for storage, but
Yes.
the computing resources, that's what is interesting because that's the difference between vertical scaling and horizontal scaling.
Sure.
Yeah. What is doing is when you are doing managing service, and even if you are doing scaling because you have put an alerting, you are checking your database, increasing the size of the compute part of your database when you need it for a managed service, it's still vertical scaling. So putting a bigger machine. But what is possible with serverless is horizontal scaling. So you are basically multiplying the number of small machines being able to process your request, and you can scale down to zero, and that's what is great.
Yeah.
Scale down to zero is the promise of serverless. That's
Serverless
what
promise.
is,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's already happening for containers and function, and
Yeah,
now it will be possible for database too.
exactly. And a good
Correct.
thing on we are just releasing these new features is to trigger your serverless, because as it is it just waiting for something to do
Yeah,
and you don't pay for it. We just introduced the fact that you can now trigger a serverless container on a serverless function. Serverless function is actually not new, because already done previously, but the serverless container, you can trigger it to do something like we see a lot of usage about serverless container, because you just put any container inside this serverless container and run it from scratch, and then you have now the ability to trigger it from whatever the event is.
yeah,
It could be a webhook, it could be I don't know, a formula, for example. Someone answer a formula, and this formula is very important to process rapidly, so you start a container to do it. It could be a data processing, so you trigger to start a container doing some job of processing the data would just arrive for you. That's kind of use case. What we have as well, yeah, if you want
any
to
basically any
Hmm,
event-driven
yeah.
architecture thought about message bus. So like we have with messaging and
Hmm.
queuing,
It's still in beta.
you'll be able to when there is a new event, trigger the thing that is going to handle this event.
Hmm.
And that's great because we already had triggers before for
Yeah.
serverless containers and function, but it was only webhook or based on time based. So
Hmm.
through scheduled run
Yeah,
regularly of the container,
regularly, every
and
hours, every at a particular time, you're doing so.
Yeah.
and
So
so on.
no,
Yes,
but
and now
you sometimes you
now
don't
you
know
can
when the
trigger
people
it.
go
Yeah, now you can
trigger.
trigger it just in time through events, and we know that we have more and more triggers like bucket notification, object storage notification coming in
Hmm.
the future
Yeah, exactly.
to be able to trigger even more serverless stuff. For example, you just upload something in the object storage, and uploading something in the object storage notify the serverless container that is going to get it, parse it, and then do
Do
some stuff.
something with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to
What it
happen
could
too.
be like an AI stuff, or I don't know.
Well, or just creating a thumbnail.
Well, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Converting a file format. Yeah. Taking. Yeah. Doing
Is
some GPT advanced stuff with a text
Yeah,
document and creating an image based
Mhm.
on for the cover of your document.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there is many things, and we did a good tour of them. It was very
Wow.
interesting
Yeah.
to talk about that. I wanted to speak about security as well, because now we have a good set of product helping our client to do some security. I wanted just to highlight like the fact we have now the VPC, the AIM, identity and access management tool. So that's something very cool. The secret manager. You
Right.
can have a bastion as well with your public gateway, so your client, your developer access to the infrastructure without going through the common IP address. So that's
Mhm.
an improvement of security. Yeah, something interesting. We have a load balancer who could be private
Yeah,
inside a
that's
VPC.
happening.
But I think we won't will not expand too much on that because the time is running
It's
now.
running, yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
I
time is
just
up.
give a very quick info about the private load balancers. Is
Yeah.
that before when you were doing load balancing inside the private networks, you were obligated to create your own load balancing stuff, like doing keep alive, HA proxy, and so on. But now you can just use a managed service because setting up a load balancers and putting the VRP, putting the IP and moving IP and so on, that stuff that's still network stuff, and for many people doing this kind of stuff is not interesting. So having private load balancer is a way to be able to load balance your service internally inside your private network without having an IP of your load balancer on the internet. Because you could already do some kind of private stuff with load balancers by just adding an ACL on the load balancer and forbidding any access from the internet. But it was not clean. So now we have a real good private load balancer.
Yeah.
It's
So
really cool.
if you have a VPC with a lot of traffic,
Yeah.
could happen like on
Or multi-tier with networks.
yeah,
You
could
can
happen like that.
always plug your private load balancer on a network and your backend on another one. It's kind of stuff, I believe.
Mhm. So
This
yeah,
also sounds to me like a good Scaleway Sessions episode for the future.
Yeah. We'll do one where I'll just draw stuff on a whiteboard about what is architecture, because mostly
Yeah,
I'm doing boxes and line between these boxes. That's what
boxes
I
and
do most of
lines.
my time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's the other part of the internet.
yeah,
But yeah, we definitely should do something like that and deploy stuff and try those specific new releases out.
yeah.
So
ah
yeah,
we
and if you lovely audience are interested in any of those topics, a deep dive in any of those topics, please let us know through the comments or reach back out to us.
I have a bunch of ID for you, Diego.
Amazing. Yeah, please let us know.
Perfect.
Okay, cool. I hope you
Thanks,
enjoy
everyone.
our conversation and you learned some stuff. And yeah, we end it here, Diego.
I can definitely say I did. I always enjoy chatting with you folks, and I hope our audience did as well. I'm sure they did. It was a great conversation. Thank you so much, Arno. Thank you so much, Alexandre. It
Thank
was
you,
a great
Diego.
episode as always, and I hope to have you soon, if possible, for a new
Yeah,
Scaleway Sessions episode. Thank you for tuning
Yeah,
in.
have
thank
a good
you.
one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.